All right. Yes, I am coming to you. Good morning, good Saturday morning on April 15th, tax day. Well, not really tax day, but we're getting darn close. Oh, so much more than that. I'm leading with a lot of just like superficial. So I'm coming to you very real and raw with Lauren after coming out of an experience exactly 1 week ago at this exact time. There was a group of us go emerging into the Grand Canyon. Have never been to the Grand Canyon and had always wanted to go. So that's why I took on this challenge. But I had no idea what this challenge was going to bring out of me, like nada, nada, nada. So I did come home sick. So I have a sinus infection, a little to come on that one, which I know which led to the sinus infection. So yes, yes, and it came with a lot of tears as well. Just even preparing to come on live, I was like, "Do I even do this?" I had a few tears, so they're still flowing. They're still flowing. So exactly this time, 1 week ago, there were 13 of us in our group of, I think, 20 something, 27. Anybody that's watching that is a part of our group can correct me, but there were about 20 something of us that were going into the canyon. And I was not going to be a part of the first group. I was going to go with group two that was doing the 10 mile. And thanks to my dear friend, Liat, um, she was like, "Lauren, you're fit. You can do this." And I was going, "No, you have no idea. I teach this stuff, but Lauren has not been doing her own conditioning. Like I did not go into this feeling conditioned. I had not been doing the training, the physical training. But yes, I do come from a background of movement. So I felt, okay, I guess I can do this." She was like, you're as fit as 90% of us going out here. And I'm going, okay. So I decided the day before to do the rim to rim and literally was just flinging myself into this, had not prepared, only from reading a simple article and from reading the checklist of things that we needed to bring. So 13 of us at this exact time were now just taking our first steps down into the canyon. And of course, at first, it is ooh and ah. And that's why that first sign that I may have posted somewhere was ooh and ah, because you just see the vastness of this amazing, amazing 6 million plus. Many it's a little bit older than 6 million, or a lot older than 6 million, but 6 million years that you can actually see the layers. So we're all oohing and awing, snapping our photographs and doing all of that. But what I had no clue was about to happen later on in the day, I was not prepared for. So if I start crying, just bear with me. I will probably start crying because I don't think I've cried so much. That's what led to my sinus infection. So 13 of us started to embark up into or down into the canyon. And so before we left with our amazing, unbelievable guide, leader, physical, our trainer, Danny Diaz, you make my heart just beat even with more soul. I will start crying if I start thinking about him. But he led us into the canyon, sharing that there are 6 million visitors a year and less than 1% do the rim to rim in a day. And so I took that to heart. I was like, wow, woo, okay, I'm feeling kind of a little elite here, but not elite because I don't feel conditioned. So as we started to move our way into the canyon, with each step down, that's when the body started to speak. And I think it was mile three that I was going, no, seriously, knee, not now. I mean, it's only mile three for real. And that's when the real stuff started. And that's when the reality of doing something like this really started to sink in. The ooh and the awe kind of diminished. I'm not saying that we didn't ooh and awe, because everything was just so magical about the whole thing, but the ooh and awe started to come from a different place. And so I'm going to jump to really kind of the question that even I had others in my group asking me, Lauren, you keep saying this has changed your life forever. And yes, it did change my life forever. I couldn't answer at that point. Like, this was the next day, and I had, Tony, my roommate, she was like, Lauren, you mentioned this has changed your life. And why? Can you tell me why or how? And all I can say is that each step down into the layers of that amazing beauty was somewhat stripping a layer of me. And I've been hearing this across my group, is that it truly was one of those life just altering, penetrating, rebirthing, resurrection. All these words were coming out the next day from everyone in our group. But I feel truly what was happening is that it was stripping down to the core of our being. And each step that came with extreme physical pain, not in the beginning, but by the time we were making it down, it was intense. And we made it to mile 5. And it was at mile 5 that I was in a lot of pain. Wasn't the only one, but I was in a lot of pain. And I was I was hearing Danny say, it's now is the time to turn back, because if you keep going, there is no turning back. The only way out is to see it up and through the other side. And with that, I was left going, can I do this? Am I really physically able to see this through? And there was one in our group that needed to go back, and I paused, and Danny looked at me and said, Lauren, what do you think? I said, Danny, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, Danny. And I asked him, I said, are you nervous? And he said, a little bit, because you guys, at that point, and that was only mile 5, and we had 15 more to go, I was limping. But I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So there I go. All right. And all I can say with that is that, once again, with each step down to the bottom of the canyon, which we had another, several, to get down, going downhill was excruciating. But all I did was start having conversations with myself, and leaning into my group. So made it down to the canyon, to the bottom, and it's almost at that point that I really lost kind of all sensation, to be honest with you, other than being with this group of the most amazing human beings that go down in my history book, of just, unbelievable human connection. That's all I can say about that. So in our group, we had this first group of 13, and then there was another group going out in the middle of the morning that were doing the 10 mile. And then we had the sentinels that were those helping us, that were guiding us, that were there to support and transport. I can tell you, every single one of us, I'll put myself in there, were amazing, absolutely amazing. We couldn't have done it without any of this group moving this, just majestic, in this majestic way together. So we were going to meet up with the second group to then finish off the canyon. And, by the time I got there, my brain, my body was fried. And had it not been for those on our team that were helpers, that were helping, I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it. They were my crutches more than my poles. The people in our group, Aaron, you were there for me. Danny, you were there for me. Liat, you were there for me. Leslie, Adam, every single one of you. And sorry if I'm not calling all of you, but every single person on that team, Melanie, Tony, we were all almost like, not literally, but linked in energy and arms as we made our way through. So I'm going to start ranting as Lauren does, because so much of this is going to unfold in more in depth writing. But all I can say is that this isn't for the lighthearted. As we started to ascend back up, I didn't even know that we were ascending, because by that time it was all arms for me. And I looked at Aaron and I said, Aaron, our mindset leader, he was just like, you're doing this, Lauren, look at you, you've got this, all that good, the good mindset talk. But I can tell you, I looked at him and said, I'm doing everything I know I'm not supposed to do, because literally I had no legs at the end of the last, I would say even the 10 miles back up. I had no legs. I could barely lift my leg. And so it was all arms, just pulling myself, which I knew really wasn't the right thing to be doing. So, how did it change my life? I'm just going to go back to that so that I can wrap up moving out of the canyon. So it took 13 hours. There were Tony, Melanie, and I. Somehow our little trio ended up being back together after moving with the rest of the group. Some kind of trailblazed, and then some of us were the turtles that were slow and steady wins the race was our motto. Is that somehow we ended up back together. And so Melanie, Tony, and I finished off those last several miles kind of in our own land, our own minds. And we sang our way through, which was the only thing that got me through, to be honest with you. And it was, really fighting with them through our singing, if I could even belt out a song by that time, that we were able to get out 13 hours later. And I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. So again, as we start to move out of that gate, I literally burst into tears. And that's when the floodgates just wouldn't stop. When we walked out, I've never felt anything like that. I couldn't feel my legs. We all collapsed. We immediately took our boots off in the dark, and it's freezing. And that was the moment where I truly just felt kind of stripped down to the raw of the humanness that this is. And that is what literally led to what I'm calling just this rebirth, this change of life, and how you look at life totally differently. There were many things that I went into this adventure that, I thought were important. And then there are many of those things that I thought were important are no longer important. What came out of this was the unbelievable connections that, and the power of human connection, and how there is no man left behind mentality when you're in a group like this. All I could think about were special forces. I have some family, very special family, and that's all I could think about. This is what they must experience, what they feel, that you're not going to leave anyone behind. So in summation, in a very quick, version of Lauren's tale of rim to rim and the rebirthing of it, is that I didn't find this out until the next morning. So halfway, not even half, it was a little bit further than halfway through, I couldn't carry my pack. Like, it was, number one, it was annoying me. And Aaron, I think it was Aaron, said, just give me your pack, Lauren, get rid of that. Let me carry it for you. And he's carried my pack along the rest of the way. And then I think it was passed over to Danny. But I didn't think about my pack. I could have cared less about my pack as I was hiking up. All I knew is that somebody had it. And I had then kept going. They had to stop and help another in our party, in our group, that kept them behind. So I didn't find out until the next morning that as soon as they came out, after really helping in almost like very dangerous situation, was being talked about at the top of one of our members was really struggling getting out. And it was dark now, and it was cold. And the last 3 miles were the most treacherous. I mean, it was icy, it was freezing. And Danny, they got back and they finally got out, and they stopped and said, oh my God, Lauren's pack. They had set it down. Danny, this is when I'll probably cry. I think I've poured all my tears out over this, is that Danny ran back from what I hear, 1.5 miles to go retrieve my pack in the dark, in the ice, having no idea where it was left, navigating through asking people, and he found it and he came back up just to go get my damn pack. And that's when I was saying I didn't care about my cell phone. I could have cared less about my cell phone. In truth, I wanted to throw that cell phone out regardless. Like, I'm done. The only thing I needed were my rental car keys. And that was the only thing that I honestly cared about. But at the end of the day, what would that have mattered? But that would have cost me a pretty penny. All the other stuff I could have cared less about, could have cared less. So Danny, forever grateful, forever, ever, ever grateful. You got a lot more coming on that one. So, the whole point again is, back to the life-changing question, how did it change your life? Is that it stripped me down to really the core of my being and what I do. And it has impacted me personally, professionally, and how Lauren is going to step forward in her life. I'm still recovering. For me, it took a lot out of me. I got home and the stories continue, and I was not feeling well. So a friend here locally whose husband is a doctor, I messaged yesterday, and I just can't thank them enough for just attending to me a couple of days ago. And her words were, after my thank you, were, "That's what friends are for." So I'm just asking everyone who is listening or watching this, is just really pause, and think of those that are in your circle of people, and just love them, right? And just love them. Danny asked me when I did not think I was going to be able to make it up, and this is when I'll definitely start to produce a little bit of tears, is that he said, "Lauren, who's waiting for you on the other side? Who's waiting for you on the other side?" Because he saw it. He didn't know if I was going to be able to make it up. And I paused and I said, "My family, my kids." Oh, and literally that is what got me through. I knew it would happen. But anywho, it was, who's on the other side waiting? Who's on the other side waiting? And at the end of the day, that is really the raw and the real of it. And so as I reached out to every one of my clients when I got back, I said, I'm here to help you even more. Like, I'm going to pour myself into you. I'm going to show up as a leader myself in a totally different way. I'm going to show up as a wife in a totally different way. I'm going to show up as a mother in a totally different way. And I'm soon to be a grandmother in May, and I'm going to show up as a grandmother in a totally different new way, because it's a newer for my biological grandchild that's coming. Leo, can't wait. So yes, it causes a little bit of emotion, or a lot of emotion. And I literally cried for 2 days with my besties, Tony and Paige. We hit Sedona, and we hit Sedona in a magical way that I can only say this experience has changed my life. And on a note of, should I do this experience again? So even somebody asked me yesterday, will you do this again? And I was kind of like, hell yeah, I'll do it again, but I'll do it differently. I'll literally do it differently. So I will train. I will condition myself. I literally showed up with my pack having tags on it. My poles never unfolded. I went and bought the day before all the so-called snacks that we needed in order to see us through. And it, yes, hi, Pamela. Thank you. It did. It was the human connection. It was seriously the human connection. And you're so right. All material things, let them go. But it was, I will go a little bit more prepared. I don't think emotionally you can prepare for it, but I think, yes, you can be prepared with all of the nutrients that you do need in order to see it through. Because I went through a period of hydration. My bladder pack was, I didn't even care. I didn't want to hold people up. So I was not hydrating. I ran out of water. And then the next thing I know, I'm dehydrated. The so-called electrolyte snacks, I didn't come with those. Everybody was handing them to me, as we were with everyone. And so, yes, it was the power of the connections, but I will go back again, and I will go back prepared, as to now I know how to train physically and also show up prepared with the right resources to help sustain that endurance, because it was very, very grueling. So, yeah, I just wanted to come forward, tell the story, commemorating all of my amazing people. Alok, I would not be there. I would not have done this without you, had you and Uplift Millions, my mentor, my leader. Powerful. Danny, you and the whole team just blow me away, and all my people that were there. I commemorate all of you for being who you are, truly amazing beings. So that's the light version of Lauren's story of rim to rim and how it's changed my life. So much more that will be coming from this story, that I think will unfold until I go into my next life, wherever that may be. So much really did expose itself in those millions of years of layers that we got to witness. It was also the same experience within. So I'll leave you on this Saturday to go explore your being, your beautiful being, and love the people that you're with. Just love and gratitude for just being here with your breath. And I will see all of you sometime. Ciao.